What's up, Tube? Welcome back to Guido's Chop Shop, the second best Steel Blaster channel on the tubes. And on my bench today I have the M16A1 from Taidi toys. Now, on the box it says M4A, which is interesting because it's got a picture of an M16. But trust me, it's an M16, I've looked it up. The box has got JG Works on it, so I assume JG Works are the manufacturers of this Taidi Toys M16 Gel Blaster. I will open the box for you. Inside the box we have a thick for what you usually get with a Gel Blaster user's manual, which does say M16A1 on it, and some little targets for target practice in there as well, which is pretty cool. You can see it is definitely the M16, not the M4, as the box states. There's some silica gel there, which is always handy for keeping the moisture out. Got some gels. I don't know what kind of gels they are. I don't know. They sort of look like just regular milkies, maybe. I don't know. I might have to test that, but just 10,000 gels. I'd say they're regular milkies. You also get a speed loader, which is interesting as well. Don't see many of them these days, speed loaders. They used to throw them in all the time with deals, but don't see much of them these days. And a magazine. The magazine is a Pmag style mag, which I guess doesn't really go with the aesthetic of the M16, but it is a Gen 8 type with the Gen 8 spacing of the terminals and all that sort of stuff. So fairly good chance that if you have any of the other Gen 8 style Stanag mags or the short mags, they will probably fit in there as well. Let's get this out of the box. Okay, straight away you can see that M16 style long boy handguard, long solid stock. The Fortunate Sun intensifiers. It's also got the proper M16A1 integrated handle and upper. Now, I'm not an M16 expert, but it's got a forward assist. I thought that the original M16 didn't have a forward assist, because I thought was one of the issues with the original actual real steel M16 is they jammed up, and so they had to add the forward assist in order to close the bolt. I could be wrong. Someone will correct me in the comments, but I think the forward assist was a later addition, but it does have that nice single piece upper. This looks like it's got an adjustable sight. Looks like it's got 5 settings there, I think. It's got adjustable. It's definitely got 2 different types of peepholes. Oh yeah, there you go. It does. Oh, that is crisp. That is crisp. Let me do that again. It does have that little faux bolt in there as well. The action when you pull the charging handle, which opens the metal ejection port, and I believe this feels metal upper and lower receiver. Yeah, it's definitely metal. It's got a probably some sort of nylon grip and nylon stock. The front handguard does feel a little bit plasticky. Maybe that's ABS or some sort of I don't know, it feels a little bit plasticky. Probably my my only gripe with the build quality is that handguard. We got the metal triangle front sight with the metal bayonet attachment. That's a metal sling hook? No, I think that sling hook's actually nylon. So hard to tell. It feels. Let me scratch it. Feels nylon-y, but I'll scratch it and we'll see. No, it's metal. It's definitely metal. Alright, metal. Sling point, which is good. I don't like having nylon sling points because you don't want to hang the weight of your blaster off of something that's going to snap. Metal barrel, metal outer barrel, metal flash hider, and a gold, what looks like aluminium or some sort of metal inner barrel as well. So lots of metal on this blaster, with the exception of the handguard and the stock. Now the stock opens up nice, nice solid feeling little opening there in the back. Nice crisp closing feel. That's metal. The butt plate is actually metal, so this is like a nylon, this is metal. And this is where your battery goes. Incidentally, it doesn't come with a battery, but they are some decently thick wires on there, and it's got an inline fuse as well. And fairly big space for fitting a battery inside there. It is a mini Tamiya connector as well. Alright, let's find a battery and whack it in and see how she goes. Alright, so I've got a 7.4 volt LiPo battery. Now I bought this one because I spoke with Taidi Toys, spoke with Travis, and asked him what is recommended. This is, you can see the Taidi Toys logo and serial number inscribed on this receiver. So this is the Taidi Toys version of the M16. So I asked them what is recommended for this gearbox, not knowing anything about what is inside there yet. And it was recommended that a 7.4 volt battery be used. So that is what I'm using. I have actually seen people using 11 volt batteries on this blaster. And I mean, I use 11 volts on pretty much everything these days. So I don't really see any reason why shouldn't be able to use 11 volts, but if I'm recommended 7 volts by the manufacturer and I want to have any form of manufacturer's backing, do what they say. Don't do what Donnie Don't does and amp it up and then break it and then complain when they won't give you warranty. Alright, so let's load this up and chrono it, hey? Alright, M16 chrono out of the box. 244, 307, 279, 304, 292, 244, 330. Getting either 330s or no read there. 307. So I was actually playing with this blaster at Hardcore Blasters the other day, and it was chronoing around 260, but I was using ordinary Milkies then. So when I tested it here today, I tested it with the AKAs, and it was doing a bit higher than that. So take from that what you will. Also, the Pmag, the Gen 8 style Pmag, doesn't really fit the aesthetics of this blaster. It's pretty nice looking mag. It does feel pretty solid and everything, but I found that the Gen 9, the J9 Stanag mag is a real nice fit. It's like no slop or anything like that. It works, it feeds, it fits, and it just suits the aesthetic a little bit better. Personal opinion, you know, just I think it just looks a bit nicer with this M16 style, having this Stanag mag as opposed to the Pmag. Yeah, what more can we look at here? It doesn't have a mag prime. That's purely just opens the ejection port, which is on the other side. It does have a folding trigger guard, so you can open that. The purpose of that is usually if you've got big gloves on, you can get your big glove fingers in there. That works. That's about it for the external features here. I want to take a look inside now. Let's open it up. Looks like we've got two Phillips head screws on the base of the motor here, so start with them. Start with also removing the mag and the battery, because, you know, safety third. Actually, not really sure why I wanted to go straight to the motor first, because logic dictates you should probably take the upper off first, right? That's the most logical thing to do. This pin seems incredibly tight. Very tight compared to most pins. Alright. Got it. Okay, so there is a spring and a detent in that pin. It does retain the pin in there, but it is removable. So you can remove this pin if you push back that detent, but just be aware that if you do that, you are likely to potentially lose the spring behind the detent as well, so keep that in mind. Alright, upper off. Just pop that back through again. The pin seems to slide smoothly through there, so I guess it's just this upper that's very tight. Let's have a look at this barrel. Spring, there is a spring. Alright. There we have the long barrel of the M16. Let's have a look at the dimensions. So it looks like 7.43 millimeter barrel, and that T-piece is very familiar. That T-piece, man, I'd even go as far to say that that's a J9 T-piece, which is good. because I like it when things use commonly available parts. There's nothing worse than trying to build a box and not being able to find the parts that you need for that build or that box. This looks, I mean, I don't have another J9 with me to compare, but it looks like a J9T. I'm just going to say it's a J9T. It's very, very similar. If it's not a J9T, it's got to be so similar, like the dimensions and everything. It looks very similar. So, I reckon that's a good thing because, like I said, parts compatibility when you're building these boxes is a big deal. Alright, so, what else have we got here? Looks like aluminium cast alloy gearbox with a little bit of radiusing. Got a little bit of radiusing in there. I'm just going to get this stock off and then we'll go in a bit closer. Looks like some Phillips screws in the back of the stock to hold this end plate on. And also this rear sling mount, which happens to be metal as well. In fact, that rear sling mount is the threaded part that screw screws into, and then top screw. I reckon this should come off, and then there'll probably be either a really long Phillips head screw or a Phillips head screw down in here somewhere to get this stock off. I did note earlier on that the wires utilised in this are really, really hefty, thick wires. In fact, some of the thickest wires I've ever seen in a blaster. Really, really hefty. Alright, now, can I access the screw? This will be interesting. Alright, so it is a 5mm Allen head screw right in the base of this that you have to undo. So you need the long boy screwdriver to get to it. Be interesting putting it back on, see how that goes. But yeah, so it's a long boy screwdriver to get that one. Now, hopefully the wiring loom and the fuse and everything should slide through easily without too much issue. I actually just noticed here there's some heat shrink over the top of some spade terminals, so I guess you're supposed to disconnect these spade terminals in order to remove the stock, and then the wiring stays in here because the that fuse holder is just too big to fit out through that hole. But seeing as I've never ever done anything in the prescribed manner anyway, I managed to slide the whole thing out through the stock. I just had to remove the big fuse holder, and then that could slide through. It was just the big black chunky fuse holder that was stopping it from sliding through the rest of the stock, so that was easy enough. Probably much easier just to separate there, but looks like they've covered the entire spade with heat shrink instead of just like the 2 bits, so that you can separate it. They've covered the entire thing, so you'd have to like cut the heat shrink off. I just didn't want to go there. Interestingly enough, I noticed ported cylinder. Pretty interesting design. It's also keyed here, so that it doesn't rotate, so that port stays exactly there all the time. The port is 51.3mm down the cylinder, which is 72, standard, pretty standard size cylinder. It's interesting that they've chosen a ported cylinder with this really long barrel. It's probably not a choice I would make if I was manufacturing this. Seems to work, I guess. So, hey, whatevs. We'll investigate further when we get further down into the gearbox. And drop this pin and that mag catch. Drop the mag catch first because that's easy enough to get to. Alright. It's a number 1 Phillips. Spring and metal mag catch, metal button. Looks like the screws on the gearbox are Torx as well. If that's floats anyone's boat. Pop this pin out. Pins in this are quite firm. I imagine it's probably because they're brand new. But I have had blasters where the pins are actually really loose and they fall out. This feels metallic. I think that's a metal trigger as well. Motor grip. So I'll get the screwdriver onto that one. Phillips 2 usually. Yep, there we go. Remember, as always, keep your thumb on the base plate so that the motor doesn't shoot out when you release it, because it is under tension. That is very nice fitting base plate. It just seems to fit on the end of that motor quite nicely. Alright, got the standard spade terminals on the motor that are crimped on quite tight. Standard operating procedure to break the terminals off when you're removing the motor. And it is a black motor. I don't know what that is. I've seen that before somewhere. Hey Rems, what do you think it is? Don't know. Yeah, it reminds me of something. Typical of a fairly standard motor though. It does have a metal pinion. Hey Rams, you know I'm filming here, right? Yep, cool. course you do. Gonna knock this pin out while I'm here. And then there's 2 Phillips screws holding the grip on. And with those screws removed, grip comes off. And box should be free. Alright, and there it is. Aluminium gearbox, free from its aluminium receiver. Alright, I guess we'll start getting into the insides of this box, see what's inside here. It is an aluminium box. I think I pointed out earlier on, it does appear to have a small amount of radiusing done. That could probably be cleaned up a little bit with a Dremel or something. 8mm bushes and a lot of Torx head screws. Probably T8, I'd guess. Oh, maybe T10. Yeah, T10. There you go. Alright, I'm gonna crack on with these. And I'll cut to when I've got all the screws out. Worth mentioning that you should always release the spring from the gearbox before you start pulling it apart, if you have that option. The quick release spring, most gearboxes do. Looks like a cast aluminium spring guide, no bearing, so that's pretty standard. There is a bearing in the piston head. Alright, I'll continue on with the screws. Alright, all the screws out. Might have to just put this on the mat that I stole off my brother Danny. Alright, let's open her up. There's a lot of grease on that anti-reverse catch there. Look at the size of that sector delay chip. The shimming on this was actually pretty spot on, to be honest. Everything was nice and tight, not too tight though. The big cylinder here, I'll just pop that out. Now, O-ring's a bit sloppy. Could do better than that. Oh, could definitely do better than that. It doesn't look like a bad piston. Oh, nylon teeth, except for the last one. that's an unfortunate thing that's very common. I feel the cylinder to cylinder head fit seems pretty good. Almost for a second there I thought that was a one-piece cylinder, but it is not. The nozzle is O-ringed, so that's nice. That sector delay is huge. I'm surprised it even fires with that, to be honest. Like I'm genuinely surprised. So there's definitely a metal trigger. Fairly ordinary looking sintered gear set. That's the sort of thing we expect to see in most standard blasters these days. Looks pretty good. I'm perplexed by this sector delay. I'll have to have a squiz at the tablet plate and see what that's about. So I've had a better look at this sector gear, and I've actually pulled the delay off. Now the issue with that is that the delay is it's pin fit into the gear. So there's no, if you take the delay off, there's nothing. There's no pin to pull the tappet back. So that delay is just one massive cast piece. Now, if I wanted to get rid of that, I could actually just get a Dremel onto this and cut the edges off this, round the end off this, and then press it back in with just the amount that you need. I mean, I've only been running it on 7 volts because that's what I was told I should do. But I think if you ran it on 11 volts, you might have. I mean, first of all, you're going to strip this, but you might have some issues with the timing. I think I'm gonna do some more experiments with this to see if I can run a standard gear with just. I might just pop it like a standard gear in there to see if I can run it without the sector delay, without having to modify this. And see how it goes, because yeah, that's I'm not a fan of sector delays. This I'm also going to change this O-ring while I'm here, just because I do. This I don't know why we're still doing this. 2 years ago I was like, why are we still having nylon pistons? But you know, the head looks pretty good. Although the casting, I don't know if you can see this. The casting inside the vent holes, there's still a bit of like flashing stuff in there. So I'll probably clean that up a bit. Other than that, the piston head looks quite nice actually, and it's a good fit for this cylinder. I will just whack a green O-ring on there. And I will actually clean those holes up. Probably do that off camera. I don't have one of these gears on me at the moment. I've got like hundreds of them, just not one on me right now. But yeah, I'll have to give that a try. Standard sort of manufacturing flashing issues in some of these corners and stuff. It is cast with a radius corners, but there is some flashing in those corners, so a bit of cleanup with a needle file on that as well. I like that it's got a metal cutout lever. The nylon cutout levers are garbage. As soon as you start going a little bit faster than stock, they just don't grab the trolley anymore, and they stop working. You end up with auto and auto. Don't lose the shim. Yeah. All in all, not too bad. I'm only things that I'm kind of curious about is that A, that tappet delay, B, this port. It's not an overly large port. It's an interesting choice of port for the size of the barrel, and that nylon piston. Yeah, not a fan. Other than that, pretty nice. Everything else, I like that it's got an O-ringed aluminium nozzle. That's cool because not very many blasters come with those standard for some reason to this day. Still getting like just nylon, non-O-ringed nozzles coming stock on blasters for some reason. Just seems a little bit behind the times. Yeah, it looks like we've got like, I say, an M95 spring by the looks. Yeah, I'm gonna whack this back together, and I'm just gonna clean up a bit of stuff and then I'll whack it back together. Alright, so I did clean up those holes, put a green O-ring in there, and see that it's a much nicer seal now. And for those of you who like to do the one with the nozzle forward, you can see it's quite a good seal even with the nozzle forward. So that might be a little bit of an improvement, not much. I mean, I'm not doing anything groundbreaking here, just trying to work with what we've got here and make it as efficient as possible. So got the standard sector back in there with the tappet delay that it's got and all that sort of business. I'm just going to whack all this stuff back in, put it back together. There's a little bit of hot glue here, which is obviously designed to hold the wires in place during manufacturing. Sort of neither here nor there. By the time you've come this far, it's kind of probably worn off anyway. Alright, whack it back together. Alright, I'm just going to whack all these screws back in, pop it back in the box, and see you soon. So I'm just reassembling this, and one of the things I noticed was this. Not super keen on this. The barrel just free spins in the T-piece. So I'm going to glue that in. I'm going to glue all around in there just so that it doesn't free spin. Like, I mean, I've tested the seal and everything, and it's a good seal because if you're aware of the way a J9 T-piece works, it's a 3-piece T, so the actual bit that the barrel sits into is a 360-degree circular press fit thing, and then the T-piece are 2 halves that clamp over either side, so you get a good seal. But I don't like free spinning barrel because that just means if you put your hop up on and then the barrel shifts, then you're shooting sideways. So I'm going to glue that one in solid so that T-piece doesn't spin around like that. I don't like moving barrels. Easy enough to fix though. Just drizzle some super glue into into the end there, and yeah, she's solid as now, so that will no longer be a problem. Good to go. Now we just got to pop the upper back on the lower and we'll be golden. Alright, so final assessment for me. I think this is a pretty good blaster to just get out of the box and play with. I mean, that's what I've been doing with it actually. I've just got it out of the box and I've been playing down at Hardcore Blasters and Urban as well. And I haven't had any issues with it, like out of the box, just playing. And it was doing some pretty good numbers, pretty accurate, wasn't having any issues. My main gripes: the front handguard on the M16 is it's a little bit plasticky. It's got a plasticky feel to it, and just doesn't feel quite as nice as it should. The piston probably should have had a metal rack on it, given that everything else is metal. You got your metal receiver, metal box, metal gears, metal pinion, metal trigger, metal mag release. There's so much metal on it. They could have just gone that little step further and put the metal on the rack as well. Other than that, she's pretty good to go. That Tappet delay chip, I'm not sure. I'm not a fan of Tappet delay chips, and me personally, I believe they have no place on a gel blaster. There's no reason for them at all. So, I mean, having said that, I haven't had any problems with it firing. I've been running it on 7.4 volts. I can't talk for 11 volts because I haven't run it on 11 volts yet. But I probably wouldn't with that nylon rack anyway, just in case. It'll tear it apart. Other than that, good setup, I think. Price point's fairly up there, but you are getting a lot of good metal parts. So I probably put this on par with the APS range. I think it's about on par. I think the APS stuff seems very similar in quality and build. All right, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, patch. You hit me up on Facebook if you're interested in getting a patch, and also if you want to buy me a coffee down below, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. Shout outs to those who have bought me coffee: Adam Hoy, Steve, Humorous Hubris, and 9 Cam JMOPZZ. However you pronounce your name, you're a legend. You bought me a heap of coffees as well. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.